Do you ever look at YouTubers such as myself who have collections of luxury handbags, or even just someone on the street carrying a bag, and wonder, how did they afford that? Well, that's what this video is all about. I'm going to tell you how I afford my luxury bags. We're going to go through income sources, how I plan and strategize, how I make decisions, how I save money, expenses I don't have that a lot of other people do. I'm going to give you all my secrets. This video is a collaboration with me, Winnie LV. I think this was actually her idea, and YotaStyle. So I will have their videos linked below as well. And Roxy is grumbling at the door. One second. Come on in, Roxy. Here she is. Say hello, and go sit with your brother. Anyway, I will have Yota and Winnie's videos linked in the description box below, so when you're done watching my video, please go check out theirs so you can see how they afford luxury. And this coming from someone who is not wealthy by any means. I'm a teacher and a YouTuber. I earn a very modest income, but I'm still able to have this collection. How do I do it? Stay tuned to find out. Hi YouTube, Autumn Beckman here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My channel is all about luxury living on a budget, from high-end luxury handbags and small goods to the everyday luxuries of life. If that sounds interesting to you, please make sure you subscribe, click the bell notification icon to be notified when I post new videos, and be sure to like the videos that you enjoy. One of the perks of subscribing to my channel is you get to see my community posts on your YouTube homepage, where I post deals, discount codes, sales, and rare finds related to these beautiful things we love. Let's get started. First thing I want to talk about is income. There's something that has annoyed me since I was a child about how some companies advertise things, especially if it's something that's a little expensive or it's a monthly expense, and they will often make some argument like, it costs the same as a cup of coffee every day. So as if you were to cut out your coffee, you'd be able to afford this thing. The thing about that is, a lot of people don't get that cup of coffee, or fill in the blank with whatever that might be. A lot of people already don't have that expense, or don't want to give up that expense because it's part of the enjoyment of life. Even if they were to give up that expense, they still couldn't afford it because they'd have other things that they need to spend the money on, or they can barely afford that thing anyway. So really, to be able to afford something, it is all about the income. And then of course what you do with that income, but you can't do anything with the income unless you have the income. So one of the ways that I afford luxury handbags is by having 2 full-time jobs. I have my teaching job. That is by far my main salary, my biggest paycheck, and I do make a decent amount from that. I'm paid bi-weekly, which means out of the 12 months a year, I have 2 paychecks every month, except for 2 months where I have 3 paychecks. I also teach yearbook, which in my school district gives me a stipend each year of $1,000. That's usually broken down into 2 paychecks, one in December, one in May, for $500. I only get, because of taxes, about $330 per paycheck, so that's not much at all, but it is a little extra income, and having that extra income does help. And in this past year, we have received a couple of bonuses for being vaccinated, or just retention bonuses for staying on when so many people are leaving their profession right now because of COVID. So when I can, I try to take those 2 extra paychecks, the 2 months where I get 3 paychecks, and the yearbook stipend and the bonuses, and I try to put those aside. Consider that to be extra money and not just spendable money. Now my second job, of course, is YouTube. I said I have 2 full-time jobs. I mean it. YouTube may not seem like a full-time job, but it absolutely is. I put more hours into that each week than I do in teaching because I'm very serious about it. I plan videos, I strategize videos, I film, I need time to set up the background. Editing takes forever, uploading takes a long time, getting links to things takes a long time. It is a very time-consuming job. The community posts take a long time. Cassie Thorpe recently did a video. It was a Q&A about being a full-time YouTuber. She's lucky enough to just have that one job and be able to do well at that and do it for a living. Some of the things she said really hit home. Somebody asked her about a work-life balance, and she said she is working on getting better at that. Ask me about it, and my answer is I have none. I work. I don't have much of a life outside of working, truly. I am constantly working. You can ask Paul, you can ask anybody else in my life. All I do is work. And for that, I earn a nice little supplement to my teacher income. Nowhere near enough to be able to only do YouTube for a living, but it's a nice supplement. In YouTube, there are several different revenue sources. I primarily have income from two of them. One of them is AdSense, so the advertisements you see in videos, I'm paid for that. I get a percentage, which varies a lot based on how many people see the ads. I also have income from affiliate links. So an affiliate link is, let's say I'm advertising this bag and it happens to be something that is available for you to purchase, and I have a link that I can give you where when you click on that link and you buy that bag or anything else at that store, that I get a small percentage of that sale. Not all of my links are affiliate links. I use a lot of links that are not, that earn me no money at all, but then a good portion of them are as well, and I'm able to bring in a little bit of income from that. A couple other ways I occasionally make money from YouTube. Sponsorships. I've had, I don't know, over all the years I've been doing YouTube, I've probably made a couple $100 in sponsorships. For example, in November or December, I think it was November, I did a video on my black handbag collection. One of the bags I featured was a Teddy Blake Bella Croco 12-inch black bag. Gorgeous bag, I love it. Everything I said about that bag was honest, and it was part of my black bag collection, a video I'd planned to do anyway. However, Teddy Blake had contacted me previous to doing that video and said, hey, we'd like you to feature that bag in a video and we'll pay you, I think it was $125. Not much, but that's an example. It's still $125 I didn't have before. Another way I earn money is through Rakuten. That's a browser that I advertise to you guys because I earn money from it. I want you to earn money from it too. When I do online shopping, things I'm going to buy anyway, I earn cash back at some stores. And I try to be strategic with that when I can. Sometimes it might be 2% cash back at a store. Other times they might be having a special where it's 10%. Or 15%. And that's not money that you immediately get off the purchase price. It's money that Rakuten totals up for you and they pay it out quarterly. So I have that little quarterly payment 4 times a year, obviously, to look forward to. Other income I have outside of those two jobs. One, using cards that give you cash back, similar to Rakuten. I have a PayPal business debit card. I use that for everything. It's connected to my debit card and my checking account at my bank. It pulls money right out of that. But because I use that PayPal card, it has a cash back feature, and every once in a while I earn a few dollars cash back. It's never much. It's maybe $1 something or $5 and something at most, but that's still $1 or $5 that I didn't have before. You see where I'm going with this? Even those little amounts, they add up. That's going to be a little theme here. Do whatever you can to keep money in your pockets or to get money back. Another thing is my taxes. Of course, I report my teaching income on my taxes. I also pay taxes on my YouTube channel. It is a business and I report my income, my expenses, and roll that all together into my income taxes. So far, all things considered, I still receive a tax refund every year. That said, I have money set aside for when the day finally comes where I'm going to owe the IRS money. So far, I do have income tax returns, so that's extra income. Also, a lot of the bags that I buy, if I need to or if I just want to, I'm able to sell those and get what I paid or more than what I paid or close to what I paid back out of them. So if I have a vlog sale once a year, twice a year, that's extra income for me. So those are all my revenue sources. Now let's talk about how I deal with that revenue, how I organize it, plan for it. My big secret is that I have a spreadsheet where I keep very detailed records of every penny that comes in and every penny that goes out. Before I even get my teacher paycheck, I already have retirement savings come out. I actually have 2 different retirement accounts that I have different amounts leave every paycheck. I also have health insurance automatically come out before I ever see the money. In my spreadsheet, let me try to explain this to you briefly, but in enough detail that you could recreate it if you wanted to, because I do find it very, very helpful. My columns. The first column is to track when that purchase or income has hit my bank account and cleared. That helps me ultimately make sure my balance matches the bank balance. Second column is the date of the line item. Third column is the place the money is coming in from or going out to. So maybe AdSense, I have income, or Louis Vuitton, bye-bye money. The next column is expenses. The one after that is income. I have my expenses in red and my income in green. The next column is my running balance. The next column is for categorizing different expenses. This helps me later when I'm doing my taxes. So I might have a teaching expense or I might have a business expense, or I might have a note that I covered this amount for somebody else and they owe me this money. And then the final column is notes saying what the expense was. Like if it was an Amazon purchase, I just bought a shoe rack, so I'd write shoe rack. That also helps later with taxes to figure out what was a business expense, what wasn't. Underneath that running balance, I have a few blank lines, and then I plan out my income and expenses for an entire year in advance. This is the key for me. This is the thing that really helps me keep track of my finances the most and plan for purchases. In this section of the spreadsheet, I have the same columns. I have the date of my next paycheck, the expenses that will come out of that paycheck. So sometimes I'll have rent, sometimes I'll have my cell phone bill. And I include the tiniest purchases. Like sometimes I'll have a $2.99 charge to Apple for iCloud storage. I also include expenses that I know come up more rarely, like a once a year payment to Weebly to keep my domain name registered. In addition to this, I have an extra column that is my running balance in one of my savings accounts, my main savings account. From each paycheck, I put a predetermined amount into savings again every 2 weeks, and so that gives me the running balance. What that really helps with this future planning is I have the running balance in my checking account and I have the running balance in savings, so I can see over time, I can go 6 months ahead, a year ahead, and see if I consistently put that money into savings and don't spend it, then I'll have X amount by the end of this 6 months or the year, or whatever the time frame is. Or if I'm planning for a vacation, I'll have this much before the vacation. It's very, very helpful in keeping you on track for goals that you've set. And that's an important thing too, is to be consistent with yourself and to set goals. Because you could say, oh, I want to save more money this year. What does that mean? Does that mean an extra $5? Or does that mean right now I'm putting $250 per paycheck into savings? That's a goal that I set for myself. So $500 a month. And I could, you know, if I'm really pushing myself, I could put more than that into savings every month. But I also have to be realistic. I don't want to set goals that I can't meet because I know I'm going to have some other expense come up or something I want to spend money on and then not have it, or pull it out of savings and then feel bad that I'm pulling it out of savings, you know? Over to the side of that future planning list, I keep track of all my YouTube income so I can see how that has fluctuated across different months. Oh, and one of the things that I don't do in this future planning is I don't project what my YouTube income will be. I base all of that only on my teaching income because I know that the YouTube income could change at any time. I could lose all this at any time. YouTube could go under for some reason. My channel could be pulled down. Any number of things could happen. So I don't rely on the YouTube income. That's just, like I said, a supplement. I also have little sections where I keep reminders of things that I need to save for and expenses that I know I'll have, but I don't know when they will be, such as dog food, bird food. I buy those when we run out of them. There's not a set amount of time that it takes to get through that. It varies. Or something like a haircut, I get that every few months. Or things I need to save for, like a new car at some point I'm going to need. So I just put that as a reminder, or travel as a reminder that I want to save money for that. I have found that it helps me to be able to see that written down. It helps keep it in my mind. So when I come across a bag I want, I can think, do I want the bag or do I want to save for this other thing? Usually I choose to save, but sometimes the bag wins. One thing I want to do and have not done yet is have different accounts for different things. I think that would be very helpful. Specifically different savings accounts for different things. Like one savings account for handbags, one for travel, one for this new car that someday I'm going to need. Because right now I find that I get frustrated when I put money into one savings account and I have an idea in my head of something that I'm saving for, and then something else comes up that I need to dip into that for. For example, if I'm saving for a specific handbag and then we take a little surprise trip somewhere and I dip into the handbag money for the trip. Now I feel like I've taken a few steps back on the handbag, you know? So that's how I organize and plan my income and outcome. Now I'll tell you about some expenses that I don't have, which help me to be able to afford these bags. I think the biggest one is that I don't have children. Children are very expensive. I don't have them very much by choice. So that's a huge expense, a huge amount of money that stays with me instead of going toward these other people. Another expense I don't have that most people do is a car payment. I talked about needing needing a car in the future? I know I will, because I have an old car that I paid cash for. My car's from 2007. I purchased it used. I will probably never buy another new car again, because the used cars, I see them as a much better value and you can get better deals on them, and I'm all about the deals, right? So no car payment. And I will drive that car until it dies. I love that car, but I know someday it will die and I will need a new car, so I have that in mind for my savings plan. Another expense I don't have is gasoline for my vehicle. Not that I don't need gas at all for it, of course I do. I don't have to fill up my tank very often. Once, maybe twice a month, that's it. And that's because I'm fortunate to have a very short commute. My commute is only about 10 or 15 minutes one way. I think it's only about 2 miles, maybe 3. Whereas someone like my mother has to fill up her gas tank every week, possibly more. Her commute's closer to an hour, which is very typical in Houston. Another big expense I don't have is home ownership. We rent our apartment. Our rent is quite high, and I'm sure it's a lot higher than a lot of people's mortgages. However, I see a balance there where, yes, we pay high rent, but we're in a neighborhood that we want to be in. And for our neighborhood, our rent's pretty low. It allows me to be closer to work rather than be really far away, pay lower rent, but then pay higher gas costs. But there are also all the expenses of home ownership that we don't have. We never had to deal with a down payment. We don't have to pay property taxes. We have no maintenance costs. We have no repair costs because the apartment does all that for us. We don't have to worry about replacing appliances or replacing a roof or flood damage, which is a big issue in Houston. We don't have to worry about fixing air conditioners. It's all taken care of for us. And I've mentioned that before in other videos, and people tell me, oh yeah, but that's built into your rent. True, it is. However, it's also built into the rent of everyone else in our complex, so it balances out. And I don't see a scenario where what we pay in rent would be more expensive than owning a house long term, especially in Houston with the housing market the way it is and with flooding issues. Like, we had that big freeze last February. A lot of people had a lot of expenses from broken pipes. We had no problems. A few things I don't spend money on and therefore don't have that expense. We don't eat out that often. We love eating out, but we are conscious of how often we do it and how much we spend. We tend to just buy groceries and cook at home. I don't spend much on clothing. I tend to shop for clothing at TJ Maxx or at Macy's online during COVID when we weren't going out. I started shopping there, and I tend to buy from the clearance sections at places like Macy's. I generally don't pay more than $20 or $30 for a shirt, for example. And I don't buy new clothes very often. I'm just not one of those people that feels like I constantly need to buy clothes. I also don't have makeup expenses other than the powder foundation that I wear in my videos. Some people spend a whole lot of money on makeup. I spend $30 every couple of months. Also, I'm in a situation where I live with another person and we share the shared expenses 50-50. If we eat out, we split the bill 50-50. Groceries, 50-50. Rent, utilities, 50-50. Cable, 50-50. Internet, 50-50. So that helps. If I was living alone, it would be much more expensive because I'd have all those costs to cover myself. Now, the last thing I'll talk about is spending decisions. I know how much money I have coming in, I know how much is going out, and I know how much I have extra in savings. So at what point or how do I decide to spend that money and not just keep it in savings? And what do I spend my money on besides bills? Like I said, our rent is high. That is very much by choice, and it's for reasons I already explained. We're in a neighborhood we really want to be in. I'm close to work. I would much rather pay higher rent and be where I want to be than be far away in the suburbs where I have a horrible commute, which I have done before for many years. It's awful. And they don't have the shopping and restaurants out there that I enjoy. So we pay a lot in rent. Groceries, we pay a lot for that too. We're cost conscious about eating out, but not so much with groceries. That's probably something we could improve on. We buy quality foods. It gets expensive. Travel, that is something that we've made a very conscious decision to spend money on. One of the reasons for that, for both of us really, I was gonna say especially me, but for both of us, is that Paul and a few other people I travel with, they're older. And if things go as things are supposed to go, I should outlive these people. So we're very conscious, and especially with Paul being so much older, we're We're very conscious of the fact that he has a limited amount of time left in his life where he's going to be able to travel, physically able, or let's just say it, alive. So we've made a conscious choice to travel now, and we have some plans to do that. As much as I would really like to be putting that money for myself and my future into savings, I know that that is something that's very important to me, and in the long run it is worth it to me to spend money on travel and sacrifice some of the savings for that. I do not feel the same way about handbags. Handbags are less important. I do really enjoy them, obviously, and they're also a business expense for this YouTube business that I have. However, that doesn't mean that I just go out and buy whatever I want. I'm very strategic about what I buy. I never buy anything just for my channel. It has to be something that I love and want in my collection and that I think would work for me. I also have to get a good price on it, unless it's something that's just incredibly special, like the Chanel reissue there. That's probably the most I will ever spend on a bag. That was in the $3,000 range. I have trouble spending over $1,000 on a bag, and when you get to $2,000, I think that's just ridiculous. So it takes a lot for me to make the decision to spend that money that I've worked so hard for and saved on a handbag. When I do that, when it's a luxury purchase, an expensive bag, it's something I have thought long and hard about, for sure. One thing I've learned to do, though I could still be a lot better about it, is being careful about small expenses, because they add up. $5 here, $20 there. Pretty quickly, you've spent a few $100s and you don't remember what you spent it on. So watch those small expenses. And then, of course, when I do make purchases, whether it's an apartment, a handbag, travel, I always look for the best price I can get. I spend a lot of time doing that, but that definitely saves money. It could be a monthly expense like car insurance, where I get a better deal here and then I'm saving that money and over time it adds up. Or it could be a handbag that from this place costs this amount, and then I search and search and search for days and weeks and I find it for a few $100s cheaper and I've saved a few $100s. So that, my friends, is how I afford luxury handbags. I hope that there were some helpful tips in there. I know a lot of it just has to do with lifestyle. So if your lifestyle is different from mine, and of course it is because we're all different, then your situation's going to be different. Let us know in the comment section if you have any tips for how you afford luxury and how others could too. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. Bye.